What's going on? We back with the boxing clinic and more. It's your boy CJ Goodfella. One time for the one time. Y'all know we do more than boxing. We do sports, entertainment, real talk. Be on the lookout for the Patreon page. With donations starting off as little as $1 for subscribing to exclusive heat and that I can't drop on here and stuff that I can't say. And be on the lookout for a documentary I got coming, man. It's gonna take a little minute, but I got it coming on the real true meaning of Uncle Tom. I know a lot of brothers been waiting on that. Just turned into a documentary, man, and hopefully it comes out good, man. But much blessings to everybody out there. We're talking NFL about getting ready to start in a minute. Still speaking on it. I ain't boycotting it. You know, I mean, if the players still out there playing, and brothers and sisters still out there shopping at H&M, and and the whole nine and stuff of that nature, man, I ain't got no issue with it, man. So who is a better receiver, in my opinion, in TBC's opinion, Randy Moss or Terrell Owens? And for me, Terrell Owens was a more complete receiver. And some people can't fathom that, because a lot of people didn't play no ball. You know what I'm saying? Well, Randy Moss, he was the greatest deep ball receiver of all time, and this and that. Randy Moss was an exceptional receiver, man. All of the 9 routes, the deep, skinny post routes, and all those routes that went deep, Randy Moss was that guy. You hear people talking like Randy Moss was the greatest receiver that ever lived, but he was not the greatest receiver to ever live, and I can attest to that because I watched Randy Moss play. When he touched down in the NFL, Randy Moss was a phenom. I'm talking about, Randall Cunningham used to chuck that ball as deep as he can throw it, and Randy Moss could just go get it. He was one of the greatest deep ball receivers. He was tall, he was fast, he was athletic. But the knock on Randy Moss was, if you can frustrate him in the beginning of the game and jam him up at the line, he'd quit on you. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about, what was his counter to the deep ball stuff, it was more deep ball stuff. Randy Moss wasn't the guy that was going to, put his body on the line and run those posts and run the real true post route between the safeties and the linebackers. He wasn't the guy that was going to run the slant routes. He wasn't the guy that was going to run the end routes. He wasn't the guy that was going to work the middle of the field. Randy Moss, he'd give you an out route. He'd give you those breaking routes, them long developmental routes. Before the back shoulder fade was really, really, popular. He run those, not the curl route, but he could run the curl route as well too. But that really wasn't his route. Can't even think of the route's name, but like most of his stuff went deep. Really, really deep, but over the middle, that wasn't him. He can catch some balls because you'll play off of him, and he'd do a curl route or I can't think of that route name, but he'd do routes that was on the outside the number route, out routes. He'd do those type of routes. That was him. That was his counter to when you play soft. He'd do one of those off outside the number routes. Excuse me. But for Terrell Owens, man, he was a complete savage, man. His hands wasn't as great as Randy Moss's hands was, especially early on when he was catching balls with his body in San Francisco. I will give that as an argument. Randy Moss had better hands, but Terrell Owens was more of a complete receiver, man. When you're talking about a guy that can catch a screen route, a guy that can go across the middle, a guy that can take the top off of defense, a guy that can run the out routes, the 9 routes, the post routes. He ran the complete route tree to perfection, and he wasn't scared to put his body on the line going across the middle. Terrell Owens gave you everything you wanted. Terrell Owens was not only was he really quick and agile, he wasn't as deep, long speed fast as Randy Moss. And Randy Moss was an elite athlete, but what Terrell Owens brought to the table was strength, ability, grown man strength. When I'm talking about the catching the yak yards after the catch, Terrell Owens would drag a DB. He could drag a linebacker. There was no matchup for him. There was no matchup. Red zone threat off the chain. A guy that can do a smoke screen, that can do a quick screen and take it and run over a few linebackers. Like I said, he ran the complete route tree. He went over the middle. He ran them outside the number routes. He ran the breaking routes. He ran the long developmental routes. He ran the 3-step drop routes. He ran the 5-step to 7-step drop routes that was a little bit more deeper, more Randy Moss stilo. But Terrell Owens was just a complete savage, man. And like I said, man, when you talk about who's the better overall receiver, is Terrell Owens. He did more. You know what I'm saying? You never seen Terrell Owens quit on the team the way Randy Moss quit on Minnesota and quit on the Raiders, even though Randy Moss, a lot of those years, still have better numbers than your average receiver. You know what I'm saying? You will never see Randy Moss get jammed up and quit. You know what I'm saying? See, in the Super Bowl, when they took away the ability for Tom Brady to do those 5 and 7 drop back deep routes to Randy Moss, I mean, he was ill-effective. And that's a fact. Once you took the deep route away from Randy Moss and he was able to get pressure where the quarterback can get to those 5 and 7 step dropbacks, it was a wrap. And once you put hands on Randy Moss at the line and you frustrate him, he quit. He shut down. You know what I'm saying? He still was that guy, you know, in his career. But that was the book on him. And people said we had better hands and Owens had a lot of drops at a point, especially when he had hand injuries and got older. But Randy Moss will quit. And people who watch football remember Randy Moss quitting. That's why Randy Moss got traded from Minnesota to the Raiders. And that's how Randy Moss got traded from the Raiders to the Patriots. People remember that. Randy Moss, once you jam him and they figured him out, you can get your hands on Randy Moss, or you could take away the deep route away from the team. Randy Moss was a no-show. He was a ghost. In my famous athletic voice, he's a ghost. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't see him on the field no more. Terrell Owens, you couldn't do that to Terrell Owens. You know, only thing that was Terrell Owens' Achilles heel was, other than the occasional drop for Terrell, I guess his personality off the field. I mean, in the locker room. You know, in San Francisco, he wore out Jeff Garcia. He wore out Donovan McNabb, but Donovan McNabb had told him to shut the fuck up or some shit, and that tore their relationship up. And Donovan McNabb, he choked in the Super Bowl, and he was throwing up on the field. People don't know that, but he was throwing up on the field in Dallas. I guess, you know, Jerry loved him, but Jason Garrett didn't. And he was asking for the ball. He was jealous of Tony Romo's and Jason Witten and Jason Garrett's relationship, or whatever it may be. And ultimately, he was right about Jason Garrett. And ultimately, he was right about Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb was a choke artist, you know, and ultimately, he told the Cowboys Jason Garrett was the lame duck in the situation. And that still holds weight to this day. You know, he said Jason Garrett was not a good offensive coordinator. He damn sure wasn't a good head coach. And that's facts. You know, and that's facts. And he's telling the truth. And that still holds to be the Dallas Cowboys' problem to today. And he wasn't lying. But I understand what people say. Well, Randy Moss, he was the greatest deep ball receiver, great deep ball threat. You know, he was a beast, you know. But when you look at the overall grand scheme of football, you know, you can take away that from Randy Moss. You take away the deep ball, the deep routes from Randy Moss, and you get his hands on you, jam him at the point right off the snap of the ball, he was done. He was done. Once that speed from Randy Moss went, he had nothing else. Even though he was faster than your average football player still, it was over with. Terrell Owens, when he was in Buffalo, he still was eating in Buffalo. He put up great numbers in Buffalo still because he was a technician, you know, in a route tree. And as you get older, that becomes more prevalent in a receiver's game. That's why Larry Fitzgerald, that's inside my top 5, and I rate him higher than Randy Moss. You know, that's why he's still, you know, playing, because he's able to go inside in the slot. He runs the complete route tree. Randy Moss did not run the complete route tree. And if you don't know what the complete route tree is, well, like I said, you a little bit out of your truth with the boxing clinic and more. Terrell Owens, complete route tree, from smoke screens to slants to nines to posts to skinny posts to in routes to deep in routes to out routes to short out routes. I mean, whatever you want to say, the zigzag routes, which is the in and out route. I don't know, whatever you want to say. He had the deep, the middle, the short smoke screens, the drag routes. He had the complete route tree on lock. And that's one of the reasons I love Terrell Owens, and also the factor of how tough he was when he got the ball in his hands. He would drag linebackers, linemen. He was an animal, you know, with the yards after the catch. He was an animal across the middle, and that's where kind of Randy Moss lacked that. But at the end of the day, I can't convince everybody the truth. The truth is that Terrell Owens was a better receiver in my opinion, and he didn't quit on the team. He had his issues, but he wasn't a quitter, and Randy Moss often quit and was mentally shut down in games. But y'all know what it is. It's the Boxing Clinic and more. It's your boy CJ Goodfellow. Don't forget, if you're into college sports, college football, and basketball, me, the Cali Enigma, Colossal Sports TV, we got a joint channel, a joint venture. We're going to get perspectives from a lot of different guys. It's called the S1210 College Sports Most Wanted. The link's in the description. Don't forget the Boxing Clinic and more is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Those links in the description. We do good work there. We can do good work there as well. Also, the Patreon page coming, bringing that raw exclusive heat as well. And like I said, we got a lot of different things going. I'm gonna start doing the season preview for all the teams in the NFL. So get on the lookout for that. I might start that tonight or tomorrow morning. One team per day. And we're going to start getting onto the NFL now that now that the NFL is about to start. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you know we go live with that heat. We're going to do a lot of NFL talk this season as well. And share the videos. Y'all know what it is. Shout out to the LDBC. One time for the one time we go.